Hey everybody, welcome to TB3 Sports Talk, episode 112. And big news, we're back.
We are back. You know, it was a long football season, and sometimes we need a little off season here at TB3. You know, we got, people getting sick, stuff going on. It is what it is. We're back.
Yeah, we're back. Kind of use the Olympics as a break.
Yeah, it's our Olympic break. Yeah.
Took a break from that break, so... But we're so happy to be back. I feel so locked in. It's kind of the start of the new year, We're getting close to NHL playoffs. Baseball season is so close to being underway. Got the WBC going on right now. And free agency and the trades are going on in the NFL right now or just about to start. So it's exciting time to be back, to start the year fresh, ready to go, giving you the best content in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, the draft's coming up soon, and it is March. And your hometown team for hoops, the USF Bulls, are going to make some noise in March. Conference tournament coming up. I'll actually be there, so that's pretty exciting. But yeah, this is going to be a fun episode because we're going to hit every Tampa Bay team. Got a little Lightnings in action, some spring training, like you mentioned, Bucks free agency. Setting the table for free agency coming up, and then the Bulls with the basketball team with some big stuff. So this is gonna be a fun one. But I do think we should start with the pro team that is playing regular season games, coming back from the Olympic break. Shout out the United States. Jake Gensel, the only Lightning on the U.S. Shout out them for taking home the gold. But the Lightning came back from the Olympic break, and it hasn't been all sunshine and roses for them since they've come back.
Yeah, I feel like it's been kind of easy to not come in and do a show and talk about them because they've played absolutely terrible, except for when they played the Toronto Maple Leafs twice. And that's kind of thing, we beat them, but is there a little room for concern still? Are the Leafs just that bad and falling off a cliff? We'll see, as the season progresses, but they did get a win in their most recent game. But we'll cover this entire week, starting with Tuesday on March 3rd. Lightning suffer a pretty ugly loss to the Minnesota Wild. Interesting stat here that I was not aware of. Out of the last 19 games played in Minnesota, the Lightning have lost 14 of them.
Interesting.
So, might just be a cursed place, Might be the Bucks in Houston.
The Rays in Seattle. I remember that was a big thing. Yeah, no, I agree. Now that I'm thinking about it, that stat makes sense. I feel like every time we go against the Wild, weird things happen. It's always like a 9 p.m. puck drop, which is just weird. I don't like that stuff. But yeah, that's an ugly loss, and this was on the heels of another ugly loss, and this was kind of what was going down for the Lightning last week.
Yeah, I think after that Buffalo game, you couldn't really get much worse. So I think as far as that goes, I think they played better in this game. But I kind of have a theory that I wanted to start out with, and I think there was something up with Vazzy. I don't know if it was an injury or something like that, or just not playing for 2 straight weeks. Because, they get into the game against the Leafs right after the break. He plays, it's fine, and then they have a doubleheader back-to-back, and he doesn't play. Johansson gets messed up, but when Vazzy comes back, plays terrible, gets pulled. We don't really see that, and then, you look in this game, I just felt like he was slow on a lot of stuff. Like, I think 5-1 is pretty good for some of the stuff he missed, just uncharacteristic stuff. A lot of shots hit the post for the Wild. I think that was a big thing too, so it could have been a lot worse. But that's a theory I had. He gets better throughout this week, obviously, and he plays good against the Leafs, which we'll talk about on Saturday. But I do think there was something up with them, and you can't really confirm it. They're pretty quiet about injuries, but I thought it was kind of strange coming out of the break. He doesn't play in the back-to-back, which, again, that doesn't really happen. But it's like, again,
it's pretty normal for
normal,
him.
Right?
Yeah.
But after 2 weeks, you're not doing anything, and you're already taking a night off, and then you come back, and you're playing pretty questionable. So that's just something I've been thinking about. So I want to bring that up.
I think to your point, and you mentioned this, I do think this could be a product of rust. I think we've seen in the past with Andrei Vasilevsky that he really does play his best hockey when he is kind of in the thick of it, where he's playing a lot of games and a lot of days. I mean, you think back to some of those playoff runs. You have 20 games and 40 days or whatever you want to say. And, that's some of the best hockey he's played. And, going up into this break, it's pretty consistent, playing 2-3 games a week for him. And he was playing so good. And even a couple years ago, I think that was 2023, when he started off the season, hurt with I think it was the back injury. And he started off really, really slow when he came back. And again, most people are going to start off slow with rust, but I think Andrei Vasilevskiy, he's such a rhythm goalie. Seems like he just gets, like, once he's in a mode, he just is, like, unflappable, and he's just so good once he gets in that rhythm. And I think he is very, very reliant on that rhythm. And I think coming out of the Olympic break, obviously Team Russia wasn't able to play in the Olympics, or he'd be over there, playing. And again, there is something to be said. I know not all these players on these teams were playing in the Olympics, but there's something to be said for the players that were in the Olympics playing this high level of hockey, this ultra competitive level of hockey, coming back and playing against players who have been resting for that time. And I think that is a hard transition, and I think that probably, in my opinion, I think that is what kind of surprised and maybe led to a couple poor Andrei Vasilevskiy appearances.
Yeah, and I completely agree. It could just be rust. I just I want to put it out there because I do think it was concerning. Although the only person who that didn't affect his coach. That dude was playing like 2 ticks above everybody else against Toronto in that first game. He's just not human. That's the thing. He's just not human. But yeah, I completely agree. Anyways, into the game. Here we go. Wild take a 1-0 lead pretty early into the game. A snipe from Faber way at the top of the circle, and I think Vazzy probably would want that one back. I mean, it wasn't a contested shot. He had a good sight on it, and honestly, I thought Faber could have taken it up the ice and made more of a move on Vazzy, but he just takes a shot and it goes in. Sometimes you just got to fling it at the net, and it works out for you. In the first period, I thought Bjorkstrand had a heck of an opportunity. At least a couple times had a breakaway. Didn't go in. I thought that was a theme, too, for the Lightning, at least in these 2 losses, where I think they still came up with some great scoring opportunities, and they just weren't getting the puck to go in the net, which was pretty troubling. But 5 minutes into the second period, the Wild make it 2-0. It's kind of the same shot, just on the other circle. Vazzy, not doing too well with the long shots here, the mid-range. Then finally, the Lightning make it 2-1 of the Kucherov goal. Late in the second period, you think, okay, they have a chance, but then the Wild would take it from there, 5-1 win. And yeah, I think what kind of started in this game, which led to the second one, which we'll talk about, is just Minnesota was really figuring out how to kind of make the Lightning defensemen uncomfortable. I think that was a big story too. Just moving the puck into the zone pretty easily, getting the Lightning confused and leaving a guy wide open, and that would carry into the next game. But the Wild had something figured out on them, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I look at the box score for this one, and to kind of piggyback off your point, the defensemen were obviously uncomfortable, and it's hard to be comfortable in a game where you spend 20 minutes in the penalty box. I mean, that is literally a third of the game, and it's hard to get any type of rhythm. And I think when you look back at this, I mean, that is a huge detriment and a big reason why they lost. Even if I know the Wild only scored on one of their 5 power play or one of their 5 opportunities, but still, I mean, that's
bad decision making too, on top of poor defense and a little bit of unluckiness, and definitely Vazzy probably would want that game back. As we go to Thursday on the 5th of March, up in Winnipeg versus Hellebuck, the hero. And I thought, going into this game, I thought the Lightning, they're pissed, they're upset, 3-game losing streak, they're going to punish Hellebuck, and I'm going to feel bad. I'm going to feel bad for him after the game. But unfortunately, it wasn't the case. I thought, the first half of this period, and I think it was kind of mirrored between the first and the second. Lightning, I thought, put up great scoring opportunities in the first half. Then Winnipeg kind of started to get some momentum, putting in some better shifts. But we end the first at 0-0, and then we go into the second. It was kind of the same thing. Lightning had some good opportunities, some good shots. Hellebuck made some crazy saves. But then the Jets started putting in good shifts again towards the second half of the period. Then some sloppy turnovers from Victor Hedman. and Vazzy, and the Jets will break the tie. And off of a 2-on-1 because of bad defense. And then 18 seconds left in the second period. That was kind of the brutal one.
Yeah.
They make it 2-0. Early into the third, though, the Lightning are crawling back again. They're fighting back. On the power play, Braden Point gets a goal to make it 2-1. But 4 minutes later, sloppy turnover. This time from Holmberg, who's kind of been a more reliable guy. He's smart with the puck, not making silly mistakes, and he ends up doing that. And it costs them, and it would go 3-1. And again, I think the defense by far was way sloppier. I think the Jets watched film. They watched film of that Minnesota game and applied it, and really made the Lightning pay with a lot of their defensive mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, 8 takeaways for the Jets in this one. I think another, just sloppy, ugly game. I do think, like you mentioned, when you get a lot of good opportunities early and you're not able to bury them, and I think we see that in the next game how it can change when you actually put one of those good opportunities early behind the net. We see it against the Maple Leafs next, but when you can't, it takes a lot of the wind out of your sails. And I think the Lightning, like you mentioned, once they weren't able to cash in those early opportunities, and then they were sloppy. The defensemen obviously were very loose with the puck this week. So I think that was just a backbreaker early that they weren't able to recover from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I think a lot of, like what we've seen a lot, especially in their big win streak, is being unfazed. They might go down. Teams might get a lead, score a goal, but we've seen this team kind of rally and come back, even when it seems like all hope is lost. But I think, the difference in what they've been playing right now is they're being a little too aggressive, pushing too much on offense and making mistakes on defense in the back end. And that's something we didn't see, just being a little over-aggressive at times, I think. And, it feels like, instead of where it's like, it doesn't matter what the score is, we're going to come back and win the game. Now it's like, oh man, they score, the game's over. We gotta go into panic mode. So I think there's two stark differences, at least in these losses. And the 4-game losing streak altogether is just uncharacteristic of what we saw before the Olympic break. And two, Coop kind of went crazy with a lot of the lineups, changed it up a bit, and just didn't seem to help either. So that was frustrating. And then we get to the Leafs, and we get some good news. Before this game, Corey Perry traded from the LA Kings to the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Worm. I don't like that at all.
Yeah,
I don't like the Worm. Really?
I if someone called me the Worm, I'd be pissed. But
I know.
that's
my
just
feelings
me.
would be hurt.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, obviously, it wasn't very hard for us guys on Instagram to make a Corey Perry Lightning photo. He didn't need Photoshop because obviously he will be returning to the Lightning. Played 2 seasons with the 2 seasons with the Bolts, 2021 through 2023. And he's just going to be he's over 40 years old, pretty crazy, but he's still playing at a pretty high level. Again, if you don't know, there's the Corey Perry curse, which is very well documented. In 5 out of the last 6 seasons that Corey Perry has played, he has finished or been on a team that was the Stanley Cup runner-up, including in 2022 with the Lightning. And then the last 2 years he's been with the Oilers and finished and lost to the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup. He did win. I do want to clear this up. He did win in 2007. So he's not like he hasn't lost his whole career. But lately it's been kind of a he's kind of been...
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Again, he's 40 years old, still playing. Pretty crazy, actually, but he's going to likely be on that 3rd or 4th line for the Lightning. I think he was on the 4th line last night.
Yeah, he was on the 4th line with Connor Geekie and Scott Sabrin.
And I mean, that's, again, he can provide a lot of grit, experience on that 4th line. He cashed in a goal against the Maple Leafs. And again, I think while we're here, we can discuss. I mean, Corey Perry was the only move for the Lightning. For me, I think I appreciate the direction that JBB went for this trade deadline. I mean, you didn't have to give up much for Corey Perry. No first-round picks were given away like they've done in previous years. But I think that you boost your depth just a little bit. And I mean, you look at the top of this Lightning team. I mean, it is really, really like if you were to trade for someone and someone that's legit. A Blake Coleman, a Nazem Kadri, whatever, you're going to be taking away minutes from a true quality player that has, contributed a lot to this Lightning team. And I think I am on the side of I think it is good to try to run it back. There hasn't been a lot of healthy, games with the entire core, with whether it was Hedman out or McDonough out or Braden Point out. So I think, just allowing the health to kind of be your trade deadline in a sense and then boosting your depth. In my opinion, I think that was a smart choice, and I think that I'm still walk away from the trade deadline, even with the 4-game losing streak. I still walk away encouraged for the Lightning Stanley Cup chances.
Yeah, I mean, did the Lightning need a bottom 6 forward? Probably, yes, right? And they're a hot commodity. You look at all the teams in the NHL, that's what you want. You want a bottom 6 forward, someone who can boost, your secondary lines. And I get it, familiarity, veteran. He has the desire to win. He'll get you to the finals. He'll do his best. And, obviously the impact he made in the 2022 Cup run. So I agree. Like it's a solid move. I think, we kind of saw what JBB was thinking. He was kind of saying, not going to make a big splash. We're going to get something that we need. And he checked off both of those boxes. But it would have been nice. Like, you just see the rumors. I saw a lot of rumors that Blake Coleman, he was coming back. I saw they were talking to Nazem Kadri, and it's like, okay.
I got fooled. There was a second there where I was like, maybe Steven Stamkos is coming home.
Yeah, Steven Stamkos, cool. He said he wanted to come back.
Yeah.
Even way back when with Panarin, it's like, oh man, can we just get one of those guys?
Yeah.
And it didn't happen that way. So I mean, we'll see. It worked out for the Leafs, but again, we're talking about the Leafs here, so I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. I think for what they accomplished, it's good, it's solid, good for you. But
and I mean, but the other thing is, I mean, I know there's some injuries to some of the younger guys that's some pretty bad news, but you look at how much energy that has been infused by the baby bolts we've been calling them, and you just don't want to take away minutes from these guys. You don't want to take these guys off the ice, especially with how they have infused life into this Lightning team that was kind of a sleepwalking for the majority of the last 3 seasons. I mean, they had their moments, they had their times, but there was a lot of times where it just felt like the Lightning for extended period of times were lackadaisical. And I think this season, where with them being so much more dominant for a much more of an extended amount of time, I do think a lot of that comes from the energy that was infused and kind of that perfect pairing of the veteran core and the youthful energy. And I think it's smart to allow those guys to continue to keep playing.
Yeah, they still had to get rid of some guys, though. And I think one thing, too, is face-offs. I think that's been a problem. Mm-hmm. And you probably wanted a right-handed guy, right-handed center to win some of those face-off battles. And, one guy we had was Jack Finley, which we had to get rid of. I thought that was going to be Curtis Douglas. They didn't. And then they ended up getting rid of Curtis Douglas anyway as well. So he did have to drop some guys, which does stink. I really am disappointed we got rid of Finley. I thought he was great, taking face-offs, winning them, battling. He's a big guy too. So that is the unfortunate thing now.
Yeah.
I do think they need better face-offs, and I don't know if Corey Perry is going to be the guy to do that. So, but we'll see. Saturday, let's talk about the win. Just to go off on that line. They had 8 minutes of ice time, Perry, Sabrin, and Geekie. They generated 4 scoring chances, 3 of which were considered high danger, so solid. And then, of course, Corey Perry gets a goal. We'll talk about that. Man, it didn't start off great, though, because it was sloppy. Leafs putting on the pressure. Eric Chernak with a sloppy turnover. Get lucky that they didn't score, but then 3 minutes later, Bjorkstrand turns the puck over, and it's a goal for the Leafs. But then, the Lightning go on a tear. 30 seconds later, Point with a nice cut into the zone, pass out to McDonough, who just kind of wafts it at the goalie, and it banks in off a skate. Then they were starting to play like the pre-Olympics. Gensel with a nice goal at the 7-minute mark. A minute later, great forecheck by Hagel and Sorelli there, and that led to the Corey Perry goal to make it 3-1. Then a minute after that, power play and Cooch makes it 4-1, and that was really all it was for the scoring. They did get another goal at the the empty netter, I think. Yeah, it was a Hagel empty netter. Nothing really happened in the second period. I think that you slowly could see the team start to kind of deteriorate a little bit. Defense was okay in the second period. Obviously, the Leafs are down 4-1 after one period, so they're putting on the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Third got a little sloppy. Vazzy had to make some pretty big saves. But, yeah, Hagel gets an empty net. Leafs I think they pulled their goalie at like 4:23, and then Hagel put the empty net at 4:18 or something like that. I mean, he was pretty quick. Pretty quick. But, yeah, a solid win. And hopefully that gets you on the right direction. Hopefully it's a Corey Perry effect. The worm effect. Tastes the worm.
What?
I don't know. That was probably the wrong word to say there. I was trying to think of something catchy.
I don't know. He's like a tapeworm. We can't get rid of him. I don't know. But I mean, again, this is the most goals that the Lightning have scored since they came back from the Olympics. 33 shots on goal, a substantial amount more than the last couple games. And, yeah, just to have a period like they did in the first period, they needed that. They needed that, and I really hope we we're recording on Sunday. The later day, they're going to take on the Sabres. I hope they're able to kind of sustain and bring that momentum in because, again, they're in a tight race, and they need to get back to that play and get back to kind of that overwhelming, force that they were before the Olympics.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the key to success for any Lightning game this season is relentless pressure, open up, score a bunch of goals, get a nice sustainable lead, and close it out on defense with the best goalie in the NHL. And I think we were close to that. I think the defense certainly has to get a little better. We did see some changes. Coop had paired Chernak with Victor Hedman for this game, and Ryan McDonough with Diastu. And I thought that was a little solid. Defense played a little bit better. It started to get worse towards the end of the game, but I think a couple changes here and there, and a couple games with these guys together on the same line. So. Hopefully that's a positive change for the future. Yeah, big game tonight.
Yeah, huge.
And hopefully when you're watching this that they've won. But, yeah, the Buffalo Sabres, end of their big, long road trip. Feels like they've been on the road since the winter, since the Olympics, which basically I think it was. But, yeah, you got to come away with the win. You need the points still. You need to clinch that playoff spot. And this is somebody you could be facing in the playoffs. And the Sabres, they went all out in the trade deadline. Got 2 defensemen, got a couple guys back who they've been missing. So, yeah, I think, like I said, you got to start off fast, relentless, play solid defense, and get a lead. Play with a lead. I think that's the best recipe for success for this Lightning team is playing with a lead. So that's my keys to the game.
Yeah, you look at, you mentioned being on the road. What's that one? 4 out of your last 5 games, you're on the road, and that's hard. And again, if you can come away with a win, that would make it a 2-3 road trip. Again, you feel a lot better than if it's 1-4, and you feel like whatever happened, whatever rust or bad play, you come out of the Olympics, you've knocked it off, and you're back running. This is really a huge game. You look at the standings. The Sabres and the Lightning have the same amount of points at the top of the Atlantic Division. The Lightning do have 2 games in hand on them, but they're still tied. And again, one way to get rid of games in hand is lose to the team that you have games in hand on. So this is a huge game tonight for the Lightning. I agree with scoring early. I think that, that I agree with that. I think you when you're playing not great, if you can, like last night, score early and infuse your team with confidence, that is how you can kind of knock away any of that nonsense that's going on. So I think I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. So that's your Bolts talk for the week. Make sure to watch, tune in, stream it if you have to on different illegal websites. That's what I've been having to do, man. I don't
They
have
call me crazy for having cable, and look at us now.
I know, and I'm tempted. It's like, man, do I just get it? Do I bite the bullet? And then, like, even online, I feel like it's expensive. Like, the Lightning offer a season pass, but it's just too much. So I go to meth streams.
That one's been working for you?
I go to.
Dude, meth hasn't. They haven't been working for me good, bro.
Meth streams, crack streams.
Yeah, those don't even work for me well. It's not good. It's not good, and it's just I miss Prime Stream Ace. That's what I miss, and I'm sick of games on Peacock and Prime. I'm sick of them. I don't get it, and I'm sick of it.
Yeah, it's like at least like the HBO Max. I don't have to risk or TNT. I don't have to risk a virus. That's about it.
Well, there's so many college basketball games on Peacock, and I never can watch them, and it makes me so mad.
You need a Peacock login? I got you.
Maybe we'll get that. Yeah, friends share friends logins with each other. That's the beautiful thing about friendship.
And shame on you, streaming services. When you whatever technology you did to figure out if there's multiple users at once, curse you. Curses upon you.
Yeah.
Because that's criminal. I pay for it. I could give it out to whoever.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same login. You shouldn't be able to know that there's multiple devices on at the same time. That's criminal.
Yeah.
I think Netflix started it.
Yeah. It's rude.
Add them to the list.
That's this. Anyways, so yeah, check out. Hopefully, comment down below your thoughts on the Lightning versus Sabres, because this will be posted after the game is out. So we want to know your thoughts, and we'll respond and talk about the game with you guys in the comments section down below. But we're going to move on to the beautiful sunshine, beautiful Charlotte Sports Complex, spring training baseball with the Tampa Bay Rays. It's good to feel back. It's good to be back. You hear the crack of the bat outside. The weather's getting warmer. It just feels like it's baseball time, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I could turn on my radio at any point in the day on the way home from work or going to the store or whatever, and then there's always, Andy Freed and Neil Solondz or Chris Adams-Wall on the call, and it's like, man, life is good. Summer, it's warm. Life is good when baseball's back. And the Rays are back. I don't want to I haven't been paying too much attention, to be honest with you. It's spring training. I usually like to, but I feel like this year's a little different. We got it with the Olympics, the World Baseball Classic, the Lightning. Just a lot of stuff. It's been hard to pay attention. But I don't mind what I'm seeing. Jacob Melton.
Couple home runs.
Yeah.
Couple home runs that broke StatCast. They didn't even register how far they went because he mashed a couple home runs. And then, we could talk about a couple guys who are not actually in this. They're in the States, but they're not with the Rays right now because they've gone off to their World Baseball Classic teams. Junior Caminero has 12 at bats, a .417 batting average, 5 RBIs right now. And then you look at Jonathan Aranda. He looked great in that sombrero when he hit that home run. That was just good stuff. 13 at bats, .385 average, 5 hits. Just doing really, really good stuff. I think another big story is the pitching. The biggest one for me, personally, is the return of Shane McClanahan. He pitches for the first time since last spring training. 2 innings pitched, 2 hits allowed, 0 earned runs, and a strikeout. So, maybe not his best swing and miss stuff. I think his fastest pitch got up to 97 miles per hour, which, again, if you guys aren't familiar, obviously a lot of you guys might watch, regular season baseball. Spring training, the pitchers are not fully ramped up. They're not throwing at their hardest during spring training. We've even seen that in the WBC where a lot of pitchers have to get pulled because they're not fully ramped up, and they're not throwing their best stuff because, again, they've just got back to camp. They've been doing having a full off season. Shane McClanahan comes back, and then Drew Rasmussen, man, my goodness, 5 innings pitched right now, a 0.2 WHIP, 0 earned runs allowed. He's implementing a new changeup. He's got a new pitch. Threw a lot of fastballs, cutters, and sweepers last time around. And so when you look at that and you look at the change, I mean that's a huge change to Drew Rasmussen's arsenal that I think could be a huge. I mean, he was phenomenal last year, phenomenal, and for him to add a changeup, which I'm not great. I maybe check the Twitters, check the stuff, saw the RPM rate. Everyone was saying the spin rate was really good on that pitch. I'm not a pitch science guy fully. I like it, but I'm not gonna come out here and nerd out about the RPMs of his changeup. But another one that I am excited about is Joe Boyle. I mean, we saw him last night back in their old home, Steinbrenner Field. The Stein is what we're calling it here. I don't like that, but
Chris Adams will say call it the Big Stein, and it made me think of another Big Stein. I didn't like that.
I didn't like that either. But last night, back in Steinbrenner, pitching against the Yankees. On the spring training, Joe Boyle has 6 2/3 innings pitched. He's given up 2 earned runs, but he has 10 strikeouts in 6 2/3 innings. He is implementing a new sweeper, which if you guys don't know is like a slider, but a little bit slower, a little bit more movement. And I saw some videos of it. It was absolutely disgusting. If he can implement that pitch along with his insane fastball that is very hard to pitch and implement a little bit more command, let's get the walks down, Mr. Boyle. I think he's going to be a weapon. So the pitching is what has stood out to me so far from spring training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. There's stuff to get you excited, I'm trying really hard not to be Mr. Doom and Gloom, but I'm feeling a little excited. Cedric Mullins, getting me excited. That dude's been hitting pretty well from what I've seen. So yeah, there's hope. Well, I want to wait. I'm excited for opening day to get it over with. Let's see how it goes, and we'll be supporting them the whole way. But yeah, there is some things to get excited about. Outfield, I think, is solid. Very solid.
Outfield is going to be a storyline. I think it's an interesting storyline. We haven't seen much of Chandler Simpson. He's had a bit of a nagging hamstring injury that they're being very, very cautious with, is what Kevin Cash said. But again, we kind of know what we're going to get from Chandler Simpson. Maybe hoping for a little bit more of a better on base percentage, a little bit more, getting the ball hitting the ball on the line, taking pitches out of the zone, stuff like that. Because again, we know how dangerous Chandler Simpson is when he is on base. Solid MLB player. Cedric Mullins, I mean, he has been a solid MLB player for a long, long time. He's a guy who can easily hit you, play really, really good center field, and hit you 20 home runs, which again is what the Rays lacked. Their outfield last season combined for the least amount of home runs combined in an outfield in the MLB. So they need some more pop. I think Cedric Mullins will help. And then a couple guys I'm excited about. I mean, you got a vet like Jake Fraley. He's a guy who's been doing a lot of, he's been with the Reds for a long time. He's had some really, really solid seasons. Then a young guy like Jacob Melton, who, again, he struck out a little bit too much I don't think he's going to start off in the big leagues. Too many strikeouts. But, again, you see the raw power from him. And again, Johnny DeLuca.
Is he the new Curtis Meade, or is he turning a new leaf?
Who, Jacob Melton?
DeLuca.
He's
been batting like crazy.
I forgot about the Curtis Meade storyline.
Mr. March.
Yeah, he's cooled off a little bit. He's cooled off a little bit. He's at 267 now. But I mean, Johnny DeLuca, if he can stay healthy, when he's been healthy, he's been pretty solid. He's just missed a whole lot of time due to injuries. I mean, I think he'll be on the roster, and he'll be, when you see left-handed pitching, and I mean, he's a really, really good defender. So he'll be on the roster. It's just what type of production can you get from a guy like Cedric Mullins or Jake Fraley, or is Jacob Melton going to steal the show and get in the show? So that's outfield's a big storyline. I think pitching intrigues me. It does. I think the starting pitching specifically intrigues me. I think Drew Rasmussen and Ryan Pepiot were super, super good last year. Just a whole lot of innings, both in the Drew Rasmussen was a sub-3, Ryan Pepiot was a 3.5 ERA. I will take that all day long with a full season's worth of innings, and I think those guys are super, super solid. And then you look at the veterans the Rays added, Steven Matz, Nick Martinez. Those are guys with track records, with who can eat innings. And if you look at those guys as a 4-5 starter, those are pretty good 4-5 starters with a lot of innings. And then that's where the wild cards are what I'm looking at. Obviously, I think the biggest wild card on this team is Shane McClanahan. I think more healthy innings, more seeing that electric stuff we saw before he got injured. That will honestly change my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of people's opinion on this team. If we get 80% Shane McClanahan, that changes a lot of things for this team. And then I look at guys like Joe Boyle and Ian Seymour. Those are young pitchers. I love Ian Seymour.
Me too.
I love Ian Seymour.
Great show card.
Great. There we go. They both pitched over 50 innings last year, and they had some really, really highs. Ian Seymour was really good down the stretch last year. So those guys, I look at those guys, and if they can take a step forward, I think this starting rotation is going to be really, really good.
Agreed.
Anyone else? I think we haven't seen much.
Talk about the WBC if you want. Or...
Yeah, a little WBC. I do want to say, Ben Williamson hit a home run today. He's a guy who I think we're going to see a lot of. I'm going to start calling Eric Neander Mr. 3-team trade because that's all he does is he's the third man on a 3-team trade. We got him from the Mariners. Utility guy, young guy. Solid, hits for contact, great defender, prototypical Rays player. I mean, just about as Rays as you can get, actually. But if he's a guy who's solid, he can slide in. He can play shortstop. He can play, relieve junior at third base if needed, and he can also play second base, which is a big storyline because obviously. Man, did you see the pic? Did you see Brandon Lau in a Pirates uniform? Did it make you sick to your stomach?
Sad,
yeah,
dude. I love Brandon Lau. Why? Could have been anybody else. Could have been somebody who plays on first base instead.
Whoa. I mean, wow.
I just want Brandon Lau. I want him back.
If I'm picking a Yandy or a Brandon Lau, I'm taking Yandy all day long.
Send Yandy to Pittsburgh, man. Give me Brandon back.
I love Yandy back. No, I wish we could get both of them. Would have had a pretty good lineup with them. I don't really know why we had to trade them. Anyways, WBC. Speaking of the lineup, the Rays, Junior Caminero, man.
Oh, man.
Superstar.
Give him the keys to the city. Give him a $1 trillion contract, 20 years, 30 years. I mean, he's just electric. And what we're seeing in the World Baseball Classic right now is so awesome. And just, the spotlight's on him, too. That's the best part. You go, that guy's on my team.
Yeah.
He's on the Rays.
Yeah.
He's a Tampa Bay Ray. So I just love seeing that. I love the Dominicans, man.
They're electric.
They're fun.
They play baseball.
I
I love all those Latin countries. They have so much fun. I think it is so awesome. And I saw a video today of Albert Pujols was in the locker room and he was saying, "Hey, you guys can take the day off from practice. You guys have earned it." And then Junior Caminero stepped up and said, "No, we're going to practice tomorrow." And I think his leadership skills has been something that's impressed me. It's been kind of well documented amongst, Rays media and coaches and stuff. Like he really seems to be a guy who wants to step up and be a leader, which is huge for a guy who's 22 years old, 23. He's my age. That's sickening. I can't hit a ball that far, but that's okay. But yeah, he's really, really impressed with him. Jonathan Aranda hit a game-winning home run in the opening game for Team Mexico. The Rays are showing out. Griffin Jacks threw a scoreless inning yesterday. I mean, the Rays are dominating the WBC.
knocking down those dirty Brits. And I love Jonathan Aranda, but we got to dirty tomorrow, man.
Man, yeah.
We got to beat Mexico.
We have to beat Mexico. It's kind of crazy that the U.S. has that long of a losing streak against them.
We got baseball amalgam.
We got a diamond amalgam.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
I hate losing to Mexico. It doesn't matter the sport. I hate losing to them. Soccer, whatever. Baseball, come on. I kind of feel like we're the villains this year. I kind of think I'm a villain vibe. And whoever's playing like the Darth Vader theme when Aaron Judge comes up, feed into it. I want us to be the big, scary bad guys. And just come on. Just go on a roll here. Team USA. I'm so filled with American pride after the Olympics. Give me the WBC. Give me the FIFA World Cup this year. It could be just a great year.
It could.
For the USA.
I mean, WBC I think is realistic. I'm just taking
not.
Maybe a couple World Cup wins.
Yeah, we got
beat someone that I care about beating.
Yeah, who's in our pool? I think they already showed it. I think it's like Paraguay. That's winnable.
Yeah.
There's another European team in there, but yeah. I just want to see the USA do so well. Get the Triple Crown.
That would be that'd be legendary stuff. That'd be legendary stuff. I think we should move from the WBC though to the football field, or actually the football offices, because it's free agent season. What day does free agency open?
It's any day now.
Yeah,
it could be when we drop this, tomorrow.
It really could be. It is Wednesday, March 11th. So it's this coming Wednesday, a couple days after the show releases. And we've had some news from some Rays free agents. Will, do you want to tell the people what's going down?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest story is veteran wide receiver Mike Evans is going to explore his options around the league. So, this past season could be the last time we ever see him in a Bucs uniform, which is sad, but I'm not sad about it. This could spark some debate, and I could get some hate, but I just think the price tag we're seeing for him, what some people are estimating he could get, I don't really think we should pay that. And I think, that's why you drafted Ibuka. That's why you brought him in, so he would replace Mike Evans, because you knew at some point it was going to happen that you're going to have to get rid of him. And I just think you desperately need guys on the defense and use that money towards that, strengthening that defense, the defensive line, the linebacker room, for goodness sakes, please. We already know if Levante David's coming back, he's still weighing it out, so you really need to focus on defense. So, again, if it's, 15, 20 million, I'm not paying that for him. And especially, again, you look at what he did last season. Riding the bench because he had a bunch of injuries. Do we really want to bring him back and pay that much money for him? I get it. What he means to the franchise, probably one of the best Buccaneers, if not the best Buccaneer of all time. But, he's got your Super Bowl with you. The record's over. The streak, the 1,000-yard streak. I think maybe it's time to just let him go. Just let him go.
I really do go back and forth on this. I think the practical analysis of this situation is I think I agree with you. I do think that you look at just the team. I mean, you have Ibuka. You have Chris Godwin locked up for one or two more seasons, and then you obviously have guys like Jalen McMillan and Tez Johnson, who are young receivers that have shown immense amounts of promise. So I think that spending your top dollar for a free agent on a wide receiver in a position that you're already pretty set on doesn't necessarily make sense. Again, like Will mentioned, there are holes in the linebacking core. There are holes on the outside, on the edge, and truthfully, you can't plug all those holes in the draft. There has to be some veterans signed. I mean, even across the defensive line. I mean, in the interior, I think there's some depth that needs to be had. I mean, I think even on the offensive line and on the inside, we saw a lot of struggles. And one injury to Cody Malkin, the offensive line was in shambles last year. Yeah, so I think there's some depth that needs to be had, and there's some stuff that needs to be addressed. Like if Tampa Bay, if their defense isn't addressed with at least one, I don't want to say major, might be an extreme word, but one legitimate starting guy from free agency, no question he's going to start, I don't think you're going to fix any problems. I don't think, I know there's been, Jason Light has been able to, draft a lot of good guys, mostly on offense, but some guys on defense, and I think, especially on the edge, I mean, there has to be either, in my opinion, it has to be either on the an outside or an inside linebacker. If you're not able to get one of those guys in free agency or make a trade for one of those guys, I don't think you're going to see major change on this defense with so many holes on the defense trying to plug it with rookies. I don't think that's going to happen, and there's a more likely chance of getting that guy through free agency if you let Mike Evans walk, and I understand that. But I do think if Mike Evans walks and he goes to another team, I do think that you could see that as a pretty poor reflection on the Buccaneers organization. I think that Mike Evans means so much to the Bucs. You went out of your way to re-sign him when he was his contract was up a couple seasons ago. I do think that there could be a big issue for the locker room and could cause some uncertainty around the Bucs and for that you want to treat your stars right, and just the look of it is what I don't like. But I think on the field, I'm not going to be heartbroken if he walks. I'm not going to be heartbroken if he signs. I'm still in the middle on this debate right now.
Yeah, well, I just think it does look bad. It would kind of, I do agree. I think it's not a great look if, your franchise guy says, hey, I don't think I have a chance of getting another ring here, and I'm going to hit the road. Yeah, of course that looks bad. But again, I think but this is why you draft. It's a business. You drafted Igbokwe.
Yeah.
When we all said you needed defense, you needed to go defense heavy, and you took a wide receiver in the first round, you got to be able to just not skip a beat. Just right onto the next season. Plug in the next guy. Igbokwe's the new number one, and he's going to put up good numbers. I know he's a young guy, but you take him with the first round. Yeah, and you have Chris Godwin, but you use a first-round pick on this guy, he's got to be the guy. Like, if we go out, if Mike leaves and we go, okay, now we're drafted another wide receiver in the first round, I'm going to be furious.
Yeah.
I'm going to be furious. And I already am because I've heard that, like, the Bucs have talked to the most amount of tight ends during the combine. Like, again, if we draft a tight end in the first round or a wide receiver, I am going to be furious, Mr. Light. So, please. But, again, yeah, it'll be a bad look, but I think, hey, this is why you draft. You're supposed to replace these guys. You obviously knew he was aging out. So, time to show everybody that was a smart decision to go with wide receiver in the first round and not get somebody else. And, I can't say James Pierce anymore because that guy – guy went off the deep end.
Yeah.
But still, he put up good numbers. He's probably never going to play in the NFL again. But Jahad Campbell was there, man. Jahad Campbell was there. You could have had him. And he played great for Philadelphia. So, got to show me, Mr. Light, that you made it the right decision. And I'm still just so mad that we don't make big moves. 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby. I would have done it in a heartbeat, man. I would have done it. I would have done it in a heartbeat. He just brings that tenacity, nastiness. He would have been perfect for that Bucs defensive line and change the culture. And we just don't do it. We don't trade our picks. He just refuses to do it, and it frustrates me. And I'm sorry. I don't think we should go after Trey Hendrickson. That would be a stupid move. That guy, he's done. I just don't think you're going to pay a bunch of money for him and he's going to come in and produce. I just don't think so. I have no faith that he's going to come in and do anything different than Hassan Reddick did. He's at the end of his career. He's going to want a big contract, and he's going to do nothing for you. I'm sorry. I don't want him. I do not want him at all. I'd rather just draft somebody and hope for the best instead of getting him. I'm dead serious.
I would disagree with you on that. I mean, you look at – I know last season 4 sacks, but, 2024, 2023, 17.5 sacks. I think if you can make that move –
But he was coming for a new contract. Those are contract years.
Yeah, and I do understand that, but, if you can make that move, you're not getting someone more established than that. The Bucs have not been able to draft an edge properly. And, maybe it would be better to try to, get a couple more edges and more guys who are more fringe or just starter levels and not this star with a big contract that could go wrong. And I understand that, but, I think it's a heck of an opportunity to try to get Trey Hendrickson, and I think that would be a game changer for your defense. 2 first-round picks is a lot. It is, and I understand why the Bucs didn't do it. The chances of you getting someone as good as Max Crosby, and if you have 2 tries in the first round to get someone as good as Max Crosby, or 2 people to replace the production that Max Crosby would get overall, however you want to quantify that. You might not. And I understand why the Ravens did that, because Max Crosby is a heck of a player. He is super, super good. And so if the Bucs, but the Bucs, they don't trade picks. We know this. They're not going to do that. I agree with the tight end point. I understand that Kenyon Sadiq's a freak and he might be available down there, and I understand that. But unless you're willing to do something else with the picks or make a move or spend a lot of money on defense and free agency, it doesn't make sense to draft an offensive player with that first pick. And as we get closer, we'll talk more draft. But I do want to just get to some other guys. We talked about Mike Evans. Hassan Reddick's hitting free agency. I'm sure he'll be gone.
Good riddance.
Yeah, good riddance. Another guy that would be interesting to see how his treated is Jamel Dean. Obviously, contract year, had a phenomenal year.
I kind of feel like we need him back.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
again, he has had injury issues a lot. some depth guys. You look at Greg Gangs, Logan Hall, Sterling Shepard, and then the running backs. Sean Tucker and Rachaad White will be unrestricted free agents, meaning the Bucs will likely have to find a new backup running back. I have a strong suspicion that I think we could see Tyler Algier in red and pewter next year.
I'd be shocked at this point if he's not a Buccaneer.
Yeah, just following his former offensive coordinator Zach Robinson, I think he would be a good guy. I think I do like when your backup running back has a little thump like he does. And I do think we've missed that a little bit with Rachaad White. Obviously, he's such a great pass catcher, so he brings a lot. And I respect both those guys. They're really good players. I'll miss Sean T, man. I'll
miss Sean Tucker, but Rachaad White, don't let the door hit you on the way out. And I wanted to apologize.
You were a Rachaad White defender though. For a long time.
I was a defender, and circumstances been different. I wouldn't be saying this, but. I went on, one episode, I can't remember which one it was, just talking about how, he's put his head down, he's gone to work, he got his starting role taken, but he's been putting up great numbers since Bucky's been hurt. But then as soon as, the clock strikes 0 and the season's over, you're clowning him on social media and laughing. I hate that.
Yeah,
I absolutely hate that. Sorry, buddy. It's a business. Someone was better than you. And they took your spot, and you just have to take it on the chin instead of crying on Twitter about it. So, good riddance. See you later. And I'm sorry to all the fans who were hating on him. I understand, and I'm sorry you defended him on the show.
Yeah, that was just don't do that. Don't go out. This is the team you've been with your entire career. Don't do that. Just don't do that. And you talk smack about the fans that supported you. I understand, some, went after you, and I get it. And not every fan. There's a lot of Twitter warriors that are very annoying, and I'm sure the players see it, and I understand that. But, you just keep your mouth shut. Like, it's not that hard. It's unnecessary. But it'll be interesting to see what the Bucs do with, backup running back. How they fill out the defense. That'll be something that, maybe on our next show we'll probably be able to talk some free agency next week. So that'll be fun. So, again, subscribe to the channel if you want to hear some analysis on the Buccaneers free agency, because that'll be, in the upcoming weeks. We might just do a full show just on Bucs free agency. Who knows? So subscribe to the channel. Real quick, it's March. USF Bulls, man. Wrapped up their regular season today. They are American Conference regular season champs. They will be the number 1 seed next week in Birmingham, where they will have to win 2 games to win the conference tournament and secure an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, which would be just the 4th time in program history that they're able to do that. I'm excited. I'm going to be in Birmingham. So follow the X accounts, Instagram. We're going to have a lot of cool content coming out, and I definitely am excited. And the Bulls 9-game winning streak right now, just
killed Charlotte today.
Absolutely made them look like a little league team. They are playing their best basketball of the season right now. Just really, really good. Brian Hodgson, his first year, he plays at that new school, that fast tempo, get the ball at the basket as quick as possible. But the Bulls' defense has been suffocating. They've just gotten better and better throughout the season. They lead the American and steals per game. They're the highest scoring team in the American. I think highest rebounding, best. They're super. Top 20 offensive rebounding team in the country. Just really, really good. Definitely a dangerous team, and I think a team that if you're a 5 or 6 seed and you see the Bulls in the first round, that's not going to be fun for you.
Yeah, I think I still feel like in the national media they're overlooked just a little bit, but goodness sakes, like you said, you do not want to face them. They have all the perfect makings of a Cinderella run. Great at shooting 3, goodness sakes, and the defense down low in the post. That's just a perfect chemistry and combination for a big run. So I'd love to see it. I'd love to see them go far. We just love USF. So.
We do, and I think it's been really cool. They really cool. Been some good crowds, over 6,000 in the last 3 home games. Been good crowds in the Yingling Center. Been fun. Brian Hodgson he's doing a great job. He has done a phenomenal job. Hope USF can hang on to him and none of these power conference teams poach him. I don't think basketball is a little bit different from football. I think there's a lot more reason to stay at a team like USF than in football, unfortunately. But fortunately for the basketball fans. You mentioned the three-point shooting. USF, that's something they've steadily got better. The second game of the season they played George Washington and they clanked more threes than I think I've ever seen in my life. It was crazy. They struggled a lot. But they've gotten better and better and better, and they shoot a ton. And they have 2 really really good shooters. They have the junior guard Wes Ennis and senior guard Joseph Pinion. Both have made 100 threes on the season, which they both broke the program record for single season threes by a player on the same day. They both broke it today. So whoever finishes with more threes is going to be the winner. That's a fun little back and forth between those two to watch. And USF today also became just the 12th Division I team ever to have 2 players make 100 or more threes in a season. So that is super impressive, like you mentioned. And again, those guys, Wes Ennis has made 10 threes in the game twice in conference play. If that doesn't scream Cinderella March, I'm getting fired up, put it in one shining moment montage. I don't know what does. So I'm excited. Hopefully they can take care of business at Birmingham. Again, they've won 9 straight. I think it's 12 out of 13 or 13 out of 14, something like that. They've really dominated over the last couple of months after, they're 15-3 in American play. Their 3 losses came by a combined 5 points, twice in overtime. So they have pretty much dominated the league. They're a couple close losses away from really being like a super dominant team, like a Miami of Ohio or St. Louis. But I'm really really excited to see what they do in March.
Me too.
So tune into the Bulls this week. They'll be on the ESPN networks in their conference tournament. Tune into the channel, TB3 Sports Talk. We do every Tampa Bay team. You guys just saw it in this episode. We did Bucks, Rays, Lightning, and Bulls. Who else is doing that? I don't know anyone else who's doing all 4 in one episode.
Rowdies won their first game.
Heck yeah, we got Rowdies reference. Bang. Tampa Spartans. I don't know. We're just going to say Tampa Bay Sun. Boom.
That's all of them.
That's all of them. Here we go. But subscribe to the channel. Share this video with a friend who loves Tampa Bay sports. Comment down below your analysis of the Lightning versus Sabres game that is happening, that has not happened yet for us. Again, follow us on social media, X, TB3 Sports Talk, Instagram, TB3 Sports Talk. And have a beautiful and blessed night.